But I feel like what the shadiest people are, and like as much controversy is already, negative controversy had been created with the wrong tapes falling into the wrong hands. Like, I just didn't want to give it to anybody but Marshall himself. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I mean, who cut you the check? I mean, because years ago, when you spent the time to double that stuff from cassette to digital, I mean, you put the time in, and my impression, or what I understood was that the payoff was that you'd get a check for what, $5,000 or whatever.
The thing is that at the time, Marshall was making it seem like everything was cool, between us, that we had cleared up all misunderstanding and that we were going to be, in better contact and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And and I was kind of taken aback when I, because I had asked for a little bit of money to like just help, get on my feet, so that I could get a car, and he agreed to do that, and then they created something where I could do some work for them in order to get the money, and that made sense. But then on top of it, basically they just tried to get me to sign this paperwork and all that stuff, man. And I was just like, well, I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, and I was just like, well, I just trusted Marshall, and so that just created a bad situation, because he totally just fell out with me at that point. So he went back on his word, and it was just like, and I was never able to get the tapes to him in person. And I remember asking Butter if he had given him the tapes,
right?
And that was during time I was still like, doing recreational drugs once in a while, or sometimes more than others,
right?
And it was just like, I think that I was just kind of so angry about it at the time that I just, I just forgot. When I asked him, he said yes. I just kind of forgot about it, and then I found, like, when I was going through my stuff, I was like, I found extra copies. He knows how to get a hold of me. I mean, what do you recommend I should do, like, given my situation?
When you were approached initially with paperwork, they said, it wasn't Marshall came up to you and said, here's some paperwork to sign. Wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just like, it's kind of like, it's kind of like a shitty thing to do, but I trust it. I'm thinking more like, okay, well, whatever, he's my brother, like, he's not gonna mess me over, and I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing. I mean, I still feel wronged about that. I think that was, I mean, on one hand, I kind of understand a little bit of it, but on the other hand, it's just like...
Well, I mean, that was after the situation with the Source, right? I mean, that was, they said there were racist lyrics in the freestyles, and years ago.
If he wants to, to work it out with me, then it can be worked out.
Well, I mean, time is...
I can't really, do anything about it if I can't get a hold of him. I mean, it's like I talked to him, and it was like, it's just the same old thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'll be in touch. And it's like, here I am, like, trying to work on some shit that actually would be awesome, and he I don't know, man. It's just, I'm just basically trying to communicate, as much as I can, but, it's like, I don't, I mean, I have no idea, like, what's going through his head,
Right.
It's just like, I mean, when I put those few songs out there, it was like, he said, well, I guess you did what you felt you had to do, and it's like, because I had to explain to him that I was just like, trying to, basically like cry out for help, like, hey, what the hell, I've tried several times, like, several ways, what's going on, like, is it some in my head, like, I didn't know, because in my head, it's just like whatever. If you take a look at like the stuff I've done online the last couple of years, I mean, like some of it might be like a little bit out there, but I mean, it's like I'm a person that's trying to like do right and like find a way to like make a difference in the world, and I hope I've made that obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's just and now I'm trying to follow through on. I'm trying to make something out of everything that I've learned through that process, and it's with or without him, basically. But I wanted, because I always wanted to work with him, on doing something, if at least in some way, even if it's like only just very limited.
Well, you said before that you guys talked about back in the day that if someone would make it, if in the industry, that you'd help each other out.
Right.
I mean, it's like D12, got some hands up as far as like reaching back and going into basement history. It's kind of,
well, it's like part of the problem with me has always been, indecision over what exactly to do. Coming up with something like solid that could be something to work on. And it's like now I feel like I've that's kind of like come into focus, and it's just so now I'm trying to get that done, and I'm just wondering like well does it even matter anymore? It's like I'm trying to like keep the faith, and it's just like I don't even know like. I mean, if he would call, then those kind of things could be discussed. Like what his goals and ambitions are and what mine are, and and talk about possibly doing some music together or whatever, but it that doesn't seem to.
Well, it seems like Marshall's really mobile. I mean, he can travel. I mean, he can take a plane. He can fly places. He can go wherever. And
I mean, to me, it's like, if he, because there was money paid to me for like things that I did, and I might have not followed through on everything that I was supposed to, and that's what I'm, but it's like if he wants me to pay that money back, I would be willing to do that. I think it would be kind of a shitty thing to do, to ask somebody who has nothing and has had as many problems as I've had, like to pay him back. But on the other hand, it's like I can see the perspective of, well, maybe that's something that needs to be discussed. Release the songs that I did, or he might not really care. It's like I don't know what's going through his head, because when the one time I did talk to him after I released the stuff, it was like, I mean, I guess you felt like you did what you had to do, and and it's like made it seem like he was going to be in contact, because I explained to him that was like, look, the stuff that I put out there was very limited, and it didn't seem like he was too angry about it.
Right.
And it's just like, because I mean, I kind of explained to him, I was like, well, you made it seem like we were going to be like staying in contact, and I would be able to, have a discussion with you once in a while about whatever, and I mean, because a person always has a right to say, no, I'm not into that.